$800.
Hey, I'm Obi That Said, and we are Drinking from the Garden Hose, your favorite podcast. Get us wherever you get the good podcast. And of course, remember to like us and subscribe, leave feedback, leave comments. As a matter of fact, a good portion of this episode is going to be about things that some of you have said to me about him. So we're going to get into this in a little bit. But Ed, how are you?
I'm doing well, but I guess I'm bracing for this feedback because I know you shared some of it with me, but I know you definitely didn't share all of it with me because you're definitely going to try to ambush me with something to get my true reaction. So I guess I'm a little on edge tonight.
I don't think you should be on edge. I don't think there's anything I haven't at least mentioned to you offhanded, because I was all excited because there was a furor, if you will, on the Facebook because we old men, about you being a bully, who you mentioned by name, who you didn't mention by name. I got called out as having good manners, which was the most shocking part for me. But I just want to make sure before we go any further that all those people in your life who were engaged in that conversation on Facebook are still in your life and still loving you, right?
I think so. I haven't talked to them. So I hope so.
Okay.
I think one of them went away on vacation, so they ignored me. The other one, I did get a text. It was really funny. So going back to one of our episodes, I was talking about redneck vacations and I was talking about feedback and how Tennessee's a redneck state, and someone told me it wasn't, and that Kentucky was the redneck state. So I did ask that young man if are we sure that Kentucky is the only redneck state? 2 weeks later, he responded to my text, and all it just said was, Alabama, definitely. I know for a fact Alabama is also a redneck state. So there we have it from the mouths of an 11-year-old. Kentucky, Alabama, redneck state.
So here's what I did get some feedback on that from someone who lives in Tennessee. Now, they didn't use the term redneck, but they wrote, I am listening now. Tennessee is southern as fuck. So full capitalized on that. We're definitely calling this episode explicit now. So I just wanted to let you know that that was covered. Now the piece of feedback you got that I think was most indicting on you as a person was somebody a few years younger than me, but not much. An avid listener says to me, are you sure Ed's not a boomer? He's more like a boomer than a Gen Xer. And his main call out on you was he and I, and I'm only a year younger than you, both agree that we never actually hid under a desk for a bomb threat or not a fear of, never did that practice. We never did the bomb drills. We did fire drills. And I have a great story about my own young stupidity about fire drills that we can get into, but we never did the bombing run drills. Now, it's possible that you living in a slightly different area, your town went on with it longer, but that was his call out, that is a boomer thing, not a Gen X thing, and you're full of it.
All right. So first of all, that truly did happen. So, by the way, this individual should know that we had those drills, but they probably stopped around third or fourth grade, but I distinctly remember them in second grade. And that's because that's a room that I got in trouble in for a crayon fight, etc. So I have memories of that room, and we definitely did take cover drills. So the fact is, I was born when I was born. I'm a Gen Xer. It is a fact. I am a cranky Gen Xer, but that's because I'm older. But the fact of the matter is, I am not a boomer. And that, you're right, is probably the worst piece of feedback I can get. That's like calling me an idiot.
Yeah, I mean that I thought that was when this person told me this, I was like, "Oh, that is a stick in the eye." I mean, that is some mean shit to say to Ed. You're a boomer, not a Gen Xer.
Yeah, but it probably would have hurt more if the reason I was a boomer was more about attitude and less about there's no way he sat under a desk because a bomb was coming. That's just a factual thing. I did do it.
I think he said the whole attitude in general, but that was a particular fact. Is he even making that? Is that real or is he making that up?
I'm not making that shit up. there are people who think I exaggerate, which is not true. I never do. Tell the truth all the time. So I don't know why anyone would think I'm lying.
Okay. Okay. We are doing great here. We're hovering all the feedback. Now, the last piece of feedback is
Might be the most incendiary, actually, because I believe you shared this one with me, and it did set me off.
okay. Well, you said that.
Did somebody transcribe what I said? You have written down what I said.
No, I've written down what they said.
Okay.
I have their notes for myself. I am looking at notes over here, not our notes of our conversation. But you said that We've Got the Beat is better than any 50 song. He said this is the dumbest thing
50 song, right? 50 song, right?
Any 50th song. That's what you said. Now, before you have to defend yourself against the list of songs he gave. I will say this. Although I don't agree with you word for word, and I would agree with many of these songs being better than We've Got the Beat, but me and you may have some arguments to come on. I do understand the idea, being that, hey, we were talking about nostalgia, but just in general, mid-range 80 songs have held on better than top-range 50 songs have. So that is what I will say. That I get the sentiment. You may have been exaggerating, but you can defend yourself and tell me no, that you really mean it, and then argue with the list of songs that I may or may not have in front of me.
Well, Obi, I think you did a great job defending me already, setting it up there, right? Because the episode was about nostalgia, right? And the statement was made, and I'll stand by the statement that We Got the Beat is better than any song from the 50s. I'll stand by that. But particularly when we're talking about nostalgia. So here's the thing. I'm a Gen Xer. I have nostalgia towards We Got the Beat. I'm going to tell you right now, that song comes on and I'm in the car by myself. Actually, I'm in the car with anybody or by myself. It gets cranked up. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed. We're going to have some fun with that song. I do not think that people who grew up, now remember, you had to have grown up in the 50s. We're talking about nostalgia here. The 50s or the 40s, right? If they still have their license, if they hear that song from the 50s, whatever song you're going to put up, if they're turning that up and having fun with it, I call bullshit, because that's not happening. It's just not happening. So the point of the matter is, as a Gen Xer, We Got the Beat is better than any song from the 50s. Now, I will bet probably a lot of money on this, that the person who gave you that feedback wasn't even alive in the 50s. Heard all of these songs later and liked them because of the musical architecture and the musicianship.
I feel like I'm going to tell you. I'm going to go over some of these songs. The first one on the list I'm going to bring up, I think clearly, in my opinion, falls into what you kind of just said about the musical architecture, the sense of where it came from, its value to music going forward. And I think a lot of songs by this particular artist would fall into that. And he went with Come Fly With Me by Old Blue Eyes Frank Sinatra.
I mean, come on. I understand. People like, the chairman of the board. I get it. But come on.
Okay.
There's no way.
Okay. Well, another one he came up with was one that we talked about many, many, many episodes ago. Our first big episode, as a matter of fact, our first music episode, we talked about this. This was like lyrics that you didn't quite understand until later, and that is Tutti Frutti by Little Richard.
Yeah, the good old song about anal sex, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
you haven't forgotten.
No. And so, okay, if we put the context in that we're perverted and we know what the song's about, okay, maybe it's better than We Got the Beat just because of the angle the song's coming from. But if you're just listening to it, no, We Got the Beat, got it. No doubt.
Okay.
I mean, Tutti Frutti? Seriously, Tutti Frutti? Come on.
So this next one is from a big, huge artist, the man who probably took us from the 50s to the 60s, Heartbreak Hotel by one Elvis Presley.
Yep. I hear it. There's a lot of people, Elvis fans, still leave tickets for him at sporting events. They think he's alive, etc. But at the end of the day, the guy could dance. Girls liked him, but his music wasn't that good. Just wasn't.
Okay. I actually thought this next song was by Elvis. But per this person in 1955, it was not. And so this is one of the first songs that I might turn up when I hear on the radio. Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins.
Obi, I understand why you might turn it up, but you're not going to turn it up with the same vigor. You're not going to do the same stupid dancing and jumping around in your car. It's just not going to happen. We got the beat. Still wins.
All right. This is a song I like by an artist I like more than the Bee Gees. And I do like this song more. I'm not sure you would turn it up, and I'm going to let you get away with this last one here. This one had a bit of a revival recently when they did a movie about him. I Walk the Line by Johnny Cash.
No, definitely not. Johnny Cash. I'm not a big Johnny Cash fan. I know people love the guy. People got crazy when he remade that 9 Inch Nails song, Hurt. I get it. You know, Joaquin Phoenix did the biopic on him. I get it. I get people have a soft spot, but I think the problem is that people are blinded by the fact that they have this allegiance to these people, and they just are underestimating the power of a girl band named the Go-Go's.
Okay.
It's a great song. We got to beat.
All right. So this last song I'm going to
I notice you can't push back too much because you know I'm right.
I understand where you're coming from on your argument. And even I Walk the Line, which is I prefer I Walk the Line without a doubt over the Go-Go song. But I can accept that. Oh, I did not see this one. These next two are both, I think. I'm sorry, I totally agree with these two on this list as being better, and I am more likely to turn them up on the radio over We Got the Beat. Both these next two songs. Now, what both of these two songs have in common is they came out. They were rediscovered by Gen X in movies that are Gen X related. Now, one of them, which we're going to go through first, is probably, although it is aged horrifically, the best college comedy ever, if you can ignore the date rape and the racism and many of the things that have aged horribly out of Animal House. But at its time, it was incredible. And Shout by the Isley Brothers, which makes a unbelievably great impression in Animal House and led to every toga party you've ever been to. Ooh, well, the fans can't see, but I took a deep breath, like, oh boy.
That's close. That could, you know what? That's the first song that can actually be in this conversation, actually. I still think it loses because I think it loses on the nostalgia side.
Okay.
Personally. I also think it loses, and this is me personally, we'll take the nostalgia out. From a music standpoint, I like guitars. The Go-Go's played guitars. Shout, I don't even know if there's a guitar in it.
Just, everyone heard him. He said the guitar was the issue there. So this
in that song, yes.
This last song is by one of the early rock guitar greats, if not the first rock guitar great. This song was in an 80s movie. This song was played in the 80s movie at the prime, what do they call that? The apex scene, the last big scene in the movie. It's not played by him, it's played by somebody else. It's Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry, which if that comes on the radio, you cannot tell me you're not cranking it up. That is an absolute kicker of a song, as nostalgia and as representative of its era as We Got the Beat. That one is better in all ways. I'm going to push back when you try to push back on me.
All right. In my defense on that, I really count Johnny Be Good as a 80s song because I like Michael J. Fox's version better. There, I've said it. At the end of the day, that's an 80s
So,
song.
not a 50 song. It's an 80. I
Now, like, yeah, technically it's 1958. I get it. I just Googled it. Technically,
I was wondering what you were doing. Like, oh,
yeah,
you're
I was
like
Googling it.
looking away. He's like, you figured out what it was. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, I figured it out because you said guitars. I knew where this was going. I'm like, shit, when did that come out? So I Googled it. Okay, it's good. I mean, but also, let's face it. If it wasn't for Marvin being at that dance and calling Chuck Berry and putting the phone up to Michael J. Fox, never would have happened. So it is an 80s song. It originated in the 80s. It's all about the time continuum that Loki took care of, and we don't have that anymore.
It's an 80s song to the Grandfather Paradox. I see. Oh, okay. That
so at the end of the day, I think what we've proven here is that my statement that We Got the Beat was better than any 50 song may not have been 100% accurate. However, and I will die on this hill, that's not the dumbest thing I've ever said on this show. I've said a lot dumber things.
Well, I am going to take that you admitted that you exaggerated. I still think that the point that you made is well made. Especially, I mean, there's another couple songs in here that I guess I only skipped out on That's Amore, but that goes into that 1950s That's Amore.
Oh my God, that song would make me puke if it came on in the car. Come on.
So
I just love the fact that I elicited that much of a reaction from somebody to do that much work. You have to do the research, and then you have to text it to you. I don't know. I think that's the best piece of feedback. I'm glad that I made a friend there who wanted to tell you that I was the dumbest person. That's the dumbest thing I ever said.
I will also add this person is a consistent feedback giver. So this is somebody who you have sparred with on the air before. We'll just leave it at that.
Which means a lot when they say that's the dumbest thing he's ever said. That is really coming from someplace. I get it. I just think it's wrong. I don't think it's the dumbest thing I've ever said.
Well, maybe we can get you to say some dumb things because it's graduation time. And I know this little part took a little less time than I thought it was going to be. And you wanted to talk to me about graduations because you're experiencing some of it.
Well, I just think, the whole graduation thing has gone to like another level at this point, right? Like this is me, Gen Xer, and I guess we're in the Instagram era now. I left my daughter's softball game on Sunday, and I was taking a certain route home that took me right past Sacred Heart University. And I realized as I was driving that it was graduation day. And do you want to know how I realized it was graduation day, Obi?
People were in caps and gowns?
Yes, of course, because I'm not an idiot, yes. But how I really figured it out is the first person I saw wearing a cap and gown was sitting on top of a Sacred Heart sign, posing with their legs all crossed, with their hair, their arm in the perfect way so it doesn't look like they got flab. You know the deal. With someone taking a picture. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, they're like, that's dangerous, first of all. Second of all, like, I can't believe you're like really posing in public like that because people like me are going to judge you. Anyway, I keep driving. And no sooner do I come to the next sign you can apparently sit on. There's a woman, young lady, sitting on that sign, all in cap and gown. But this one it looks like her sister, her mother, her father. Like, how the hell's her father going for this? Like, he should be like, dude, listen, we're not going to be doing Insta pictures. We just did the graduation. We got to get out of here. We got to go eat and drink. But no, they're standing there on the side of the road with everybody watching, taking pictures. So, Obi, did you do that? Did you sit on the Rucker sign?
Interesting. Did not know where you were going to go with this graduation take. No, I did not sit on the sign. I did have some pictures. From both my college graduation and my grad school graduation, they were more group shots, more not with necessarily the school sign there. And I even had an incident where it wasn't graduation yet, and I was walking through Glassboro, New Jersey, the home of Rowan, and there were some young people posing for pictures in front of the academic building that was their, represented their school within Glassboro, and they were in cap and gowns and all the regalia, and graduation hadn't happened yet. So, like, your sign that there was graduation wasn't even necessarily true because these people were taking. I believe it was graduation.
Well, because I saw a couple hundred other people in caps and gowns too.
I'm not doubting you that it was graduation. I'm saying that just seeing people in cap and gown taking pictures didn't even mean it was graduation. It was prep for graduation.
So, Obi, I was going to go there next because I've saw people on Facebook post photos of their child in their cap and gown in various photos throughout the campus the week of graduation. So it's obviously a thing that not only do you sit on the sign and pose after you graduate, but apparently the week of you go out and do photo shoots. I also saw, now that my daughter's going away to college, I'm on like some of their Instagram sites and things, and I've seen like photographers advertising like $200 4-hour pre-grad session. Like, it's a thing. You hire a photographer and you go take 2 hours of pictures of yourself in your cap and gown around campus.
That's great. That's so here I have such a different thing about graduation because now we were not doing this show yet. I may have mentioned it when my son Sam graduated high school. It was the longest, most obnoxious graduation ceremony I've ever been to. Now, not to mention that for these kids, they get a preschool graduation, a kindergarten graduation, a elementary school graduation, and a middle. Like, I'm not impressed with graduations anymore. They happen every 4 or 5 years for these kids. But this graduation ceremony was so bad and so long. Sam is not intending on going to his college graduation. Alex is not intending on going to his high school or college graduation and has claimed that when Sam's children graduate high school and or college, he will not be going to those either. This was such an atrociously long ceremony. It's a big school, so a lot of students talked, fine. But then for every student that talked, there needed to be an adult to talk. So like I'm going to say titles, and if maybe these people didn't speak, maybe they did, but it felt like they all did. Like
yeah, watch out. This might be the dumbest thing you ever said.
Well, it felt like. Now, maybe it wasn't the PTA president, but for example, it felt like the PTA president, the Board of Education president, the principal, the grade principal, the grade advisors, somebody who once sold something to the school, somebody who once went to the school and isn't even like it felt like 80 adults talked. And literally just to hear themselves speak. You want to hear yourself speak? Get a podcast like Ed and I. That's how you.
That's right. That's right.
To speak in front of people who are captivated audience who can't turn you off and stuck inside a sweaty chim. Like, please.
So should I bring a sign that says "Get a podcast" when I go to the graduation? So if somebody's joining on, I can just put the sign up, "Get a podcast."
That would be great. And not to the students. I mean, like I say, look, some of the students weren't good speakers.
Only the adults, particularly the superintendent, principal.
Yeah,
teachers.
Get a podcast. That's exactly. Shut up and get a podcast. That is exactly.
So, Obi, if your kids aren't going to graduation, are they still going to do the 2-hour photo shoot the week up?
Well, I know Samuel, but I'm thinking Alex. He has a little photography in him. Maybe he's charging $100, undercut the professionals.
So it could be a little side hustle for him.
Literally, when we get this, Alex will be proposed this idea. As soon as we're off the podcast, I got an idea. You can make a little money.
I'm telling you, I think it's mostly females that eat this stuff up, but I'm not sure. But the photos before, I will tell you, Obi, I have a story about Rutgers graduation. When I graduated, and it might have been the same for you. There's a lot of students graduating, right? And they had a rule. They like, and I understand why I had this rule because it could get real empty real quick. Because, they start with A's and they end with Z's. But they had a rule that, once you went up, got your diploma and came and sat down, you had to stay there until the ceremony was over, right? That was the rule. So I'm in the middle of the alphabet, kind of, right? So they get to P, I go up, get my thing, I come back, and I see like how many people are still seated like behind me. I'm like, I'm like, no way, man. This sucks. So I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I get up to go to leave, and I'll never forget. Like they had like security there. They're like, you can't leave. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. They're like, okay, come right back. I'm like, yep. I ran, I got my parents. I'm like, we're out of here, and we just left. Got the hell out of there.
I don't recall not being allowed to leave. I don't recall that. I don't recall much from my college graduation other than somebody came up, said, I'm gonna make this quick. May the force be with you, and literally walked away. Like
That's cool.
That was great. I'm gonna make this quick. May the force be with you, and then walked. Like that was great. And then my grad school graduation, we had one school speaker, literally just congratulations, pretty quick. Then we had two speakers, one of which is the guy, African American lawyer who they just made a movie about, who does a lot of that work from the Southern law.
Morgan Freeman.
No, it was not Morgan Freeman. And it wasn't played by Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's what I meant. Like Morgan Freeman probably voiced that movie.
No. He was a younger guy in the movie. And then Bon Jovi sang us a song. Like
Not bad.
Literally, Bon Jovi said, I know you all think you're here to see me, but I cannot follow that guy's speech with words. So I wrote you a song. He played a song, and then we did our graduation. And that was a small graduation anyway.
Toby, I think you bring up a good point, though, and I don't think you're trying to make this point, but with graduation, the people running them should really understand that it's not about them.
Not about them.
And that what parents really want is they just want to see their kid walk across the stage. That's all they're there for. It's kind of like when you go to a dance recital. You're not there to watch all the kids dance.
No.
You're only there to watch your kid dance, right?
Right.
No different than a graduation. So the more you have not my kid dancing, the more I want to get the hell out of there.
It's exactly the reason why, Ed, when anybody asks me what sport their kids should play, I tell them, follow Sam Phillips. Have your kid play basketball. Because in that sport, you're watching one game most times, except for a tournament, and your kid plays a substantial part of the game if they're any good. Any other sport, you're like, even football, like half the game, you're not watching your kid. If the team's bad, you're in trouble with that. Wrestling, forget it. You never see your kid.
Swimming, you sit around for 4 hours so your kid can swim like 2 races that are 50 seconds long.
Track, same sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Even softball or baseball.
Softball, baseball, rough. I spent a whole weekend, literally from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. this past Saturday. Now, it was the first real nice day of the year, so actually I just loved it. But when your kid is playing softball and their team is up at bat, they're not up at bat.
Nope. You can root for that team all you want, but are you really rooting for that team?
And then it goes back to the dance recital scenario.
Yeah.
I'm here at a softball game watching everybody else's kids hit. So if 10 kids hit in the lineup, I only there for 10% of it.
That's right. That is right. That is why basketball is the best sport as a parent. I will, at least in my experience, I will always say. And it's quick, you're in and out.
Oh, Obi, basketball is the best, and I am biased, of course, but it's the best because the ball gets shared. Like your kid runs up and down. You got to play defense, even if you don't get the ball pass. In softball, your kid is only up 10% of the time, or 11.1111% if there's only 9 players hitting. And then on defense, there's no guarantee ball's even going to be hit to them.
All game. They're not the pitcher or the catcher. They may never touch the ball.
That's right. Luck of the draw. Who knows? Yeah. And if they're playing catcher, you can't see them. They got all the gear on. So I don't, anyway. Yeah, I agree. Sports. So graduations are much like sports.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In sports, you don't take pictures the week before the tournament in your uniform, sitting on the sign outside the arena where the tournament's taking place.
Well, I am going to ask Sam about this now. and see if his friends are doing that. He does have friends of all genders, being an art student and all, so he can inform me of what is the norm. Is this something that is everyone's doing it, or is it new and just you're seeing some trailblazers, or is it actually already old and becoming out of style already? No longer chic, and we're just catching at the end because we old geezers.
Yeah, well, it's true. And then it also makes me think about, what I think it was Porky's, right? That great 80s Gen X movie. Didn't they convince the guy to like wear nothing under his cap and gown? Didn't they tell him that no one was wearing anything under a cap and gown? And then as he walked up, someone stepped on the back of his cap and gown and ripped off. And he was
I don't know what movie it was in. And I thought they were all going to flash the audience, and he was the only one who was actually
did it, right?
Did it.
I think it was Porky's, but I could be wrong. Be interesting to see if any of our listeners remember what movie that was. That definitely happened in a 90s movie, or an 80s movie, which, by the way, I'll say this right now, Obi. I'm not sure there's a 50s movie better than Porky's. I said it. Porky's. I'll name any 80s movie. I don't think there's a 50s movie better than an 80s movie.
So, as I do a quick Google on Mr. Hitchcock.
All right, so we'll pick an 80s movie, Indiana Jones. There's not a 50s movie better than Indiana Jones. We'll pick a better movie.
Well, I'm sure that one of our cinephile fans will go through this.
I mean, but 50s movies were black and white and they were silent. Come on.
No,
Can't be better.
You got to take that back. Vertigo was 1958. North by Northwest was 1959, and that's just Hitchcock. Sorry,
it's all fake. It's all fake news.
It's all fake news. That's better. It's all fake news. Even Strangers on the Train and Rear Window are not. Bad decade for you to try to come up with bad movies.
Oh, shit. Should I pick on the 40s? Maybe we'll go to the 20s because there are silent movies in the 20s.
There's a Charlie Chaplin movie that stands up to Indiana Jones. He didn't even have to be in the movie. The plot happens without him.
I don't think Charlie. Yeah, there I said it. Indiana Jones is better than any movie up until apparently the ones you just Googled from the 50s.
Okay. Well, we'll let the cinephiles come after you for that one. I'll have an array of messages for you with that. But
I'll say this though, Obi, and this isn't an 80s movie, but it happened while I was alive. Deliverance, right? The movie Deliverance.
Oof.
All right. Is there a movie from the 50s that is quoted or referred to as much as Deliverance is in your daily life?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I know the ladies don't like reference Deliverance in their daily lives, but men, this is what men do. From time to time, we'll look at a buddy and we'll bring up the movie Deliverance because something just happened that made us think about Ned Beatty or something like that.
I do know, and I've definitely been heard this saying. You like to do that as much as white guys like to quote movies, and so.
Wait, you heard that saying?
Oh yeah, that's a saying. Oh yeah.
Wait, you like to do that as much as white guys like to quote movies?
Yeah. So whatever somebody might be doing, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play
so
basketball
that's today. So that's what non-white people say when I'm not in the room.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've never been behind the curtain. I have no idea what is happening when I'm not in the room.
I am sure they're. And quote movies again. Yeah, and they don't even say white guy. They just say with like head like, oh yeah, I'm going to play racquetball. So, oh yeah, you do that. You like to play racquetball as much as that like to quote movies. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So now all of a sudden I'm the quintessential white guy.
Well, if they're talking about you, they may not have to say white guy.
Okay.
They're implying.
But the insinuation is white guys do that. Okay. Yeah. I never knew that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We love quoting movies. Yeah, that's our thing.
Oh, I'm not denying that. No, I just didn't know other people picked up on it and made fun of us for it. Now, should I be offended?
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty accurate stereotype.
It's a stereotype. So should I be?
See a movie. Honestly, I will see a movie because people have been quoting it I'm like, well, what is the scene in the actual, and then the movie will stink, but it has like two good lines. You're like, okay, yeah.
Do you know another thing? Do you know another thing white people love to quote? Seinfeld.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Particularly white guys.
I think it falls into. I mean, I think people when we quote TV, that there's not really a difference being made in terms of the stereotype. But yes,
I was in a meeting today, and icebreaker for the meeting. Guy says, "Yeah, I hate my dogs, man. They just ate my couch. I'm thinking about getting rid of them." And my boss goes, "Oh, like that Seinfeld episode when they kidnapped the dog, took him up to the mountains, and the dog came back and had Kramer's shirt in his mouth." Like, and all the guys around the table are like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And the women were like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
I worked with a non white male person. It wasn't a white guy. Loved Seinfeld, quoted Seinfeld all the time.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that just breaks the whole stereotype.
Yeah.
Call him stereotype buster.
Well, call her.
Her.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah.
well then she's breaking a couple stereotypes because she's a female too. Because I've never heard a woman quote Seinfeld before in my life.
This woman loved Seinfeld. Her and this other guy would talk about, would just go off on Seinfeld rants and tangents and whatnot.
Well, Obi, everything in life can be tied back to Seinfeld.
That's right. That's right.
I think.
Yeah. And even my wife, anytime we take food somewhere, she makes sure it gets open so nobody tries to take the rye bread back. Everything's got to be open. Somebody don't try to take something back. You can't let that happen. Don't put anybody in that position. No marble rides here.
Obi, last thing, and then I think we got to go. The king has been crowned. Has there ever been anything in life that I've cared less about?
Really?
Oh,
I'm so happy to hear that. I mean, I know I put it on a list of things to talk about, but you're our
Obi,
Royals representative.
Oh, Obi, I knew it was happening, and I purposely stayed away from it. Now, I know a couple people. I went over to their house on Sunday, and I said to them, "What'd you think of the coronation?" I was just kind of, throwing some bait out there to catch some fish. And what I get was, "What do you think? We were both up at 5 a.m. watching that." I said, "Yep, that's kind of what I thought," which is why I threw the bait out there. So some people are really big into it. The only thing that I got excited about was I saw the picture of the penis that they mowed into the lawn where the party was taking place. Did you see this?
No, I did not see this.
Oh yeah, somebody mowed a penis into the lawn where the part. So when there's an aerial photo taken, you can see this penis. It wasn't like a really artistic penis. It was kind of like the you would see on the bathroom wall. Kind of a phallic shape with a couple of semicircles around the bottom of. But anyway, kind of funny.
Now you know when I'm good to Google as soon as we off this call here.
Yeah. But did you see? So again, I could care less about it, but I'm going to make an observation. And for those of you listening, if you loved it, great. But here's the thing I got to say to everyone. Did you see the photo of the king and his queen standing there with those freaking 1 foot tall crowns on top of their head? Has there ever been people who looked so goofy but took themselves so seriously in a photo before?
I mean, I've been in some photos where I look serious and pretended not look goofy.
But these people are really taking themselves seriously. Like, can you imagine that people have to refer to him as Your Majesty? And I'm guessing if they don't, he gets really mad and they might lose their job. Like, you take yourself that serious? Your Majesty? That's why I couldn't be bothered with it. The whole thing's a joke.
Well, I'm disappointed that we don't have more to say on it because when we first started talking to Royals, we were really aware. But I got nothing to add because you knew more than me.
By the way, I'm aware.
A giant lawn penis on my phone. Thank you.
See, another thing I didn't lie about, right?
No, better than I could have done.
Well, you got to remember that thing's probably like 100 feet big or 50 feet big.
Yeah.
On a lawn.
Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. Okay.
So there you have it. There's my take on the coronation. I know about it. I know who was involved in it. But at the end of the day, I'm an American. I don't care.
You know, some people might think that the coronation sucks. The charm is that we suck. I'm Obi. That said, see you in a couple of weeks here on Drinking from the Garden Hose.
Oh, hey.
Whoa!
Oh, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.